What's up, everybody? Welcome to the MoveU podcast. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Audrey Lee. Audrey is incredible. She's been a MoveU member for like maybe 4 months now, I'd say. Well, at least you've gone hard for 4 months.
Started in December.
In December.
Fully committed.
I
put it on there in writing, and that was it.
So Audrey is, she's a trainer as well, physical trainer. Is it personal trainer?
Personal trainer. Group exercise instructor. She also is, I don't want to say nutritionist, but you also... I do have a degree in nutrition.
Nutritionist. And she's quite an athlete. Wait till you hear how her life revolves around sports, at least from the part that I know of about your hobbies. So I'm super excited because Audrey's been in the community. She's just so driven. She's committed to MoveU. She joined. I'm excited to actually learn more in detail why. So she's committed. She's made this 30-day commitment. That's the initial commitment. And she makes every 30-day checkpoints and progress reports on MoveU, and they're always awesome, and I'm always so excited to see. I'm like, Audrey posted, what is it? And so they're always so great. And she's out here right now doing paddleboard training where's your home base?
Park City, Utah.
Oh, you're Park City.
Yeah, that's why I keep saying come and visit. Ski season.
Oh, yeah, Park City. How was your snow this year?
Phenomenal.
Was it phenomenal?
This was record-breaking snow year. I was talking to a friend. 117 days, that's not unusual, but unusual is over 60 days of powders. Like, we started off the season 1 powder day per week, and then somewhere in the season it shifted, and there were 2 powder days a week, right up to the very end until it came out this way.
Was it like that across the board? Because everybody was getting dumped on.
Everyone on the West Coast was getting dumped on. East Coast got nothing.
No way.
In comparison. Yeah. And so it's like all the people on the East Coast, like,
Where's mine?
Yeah, exactly. Like, pictures of Tahoe where houses are covered in snow. Like, holy moly.
Yeah, the snow's over the houses. Mm-hmm. And so you guys got that same, because, we got the rain out here in California.
So whenever you guys got rain, we got snow.
Oh, I see.
So it was really cool. All the friends in Dana Point, they were like, oh, it's raining. Like, we're getting snow. I mean, it was almost to the point, when is it not going to snow? It was just it's snowing. Oh, it's snowing. It's snowing. It's snowing. By the way, it's snowing.
What's your level of skiing? Do you ski or snow? Where you ski?
I ski. Yeah. I ski. Well, it's always these things because I'm pretty critical about things, and I like to be realistic. They have the beginner, intermediate, advanced. I'm considered advanced, but I don't consider myself advanced because to me, advanced is these are pro athletes that are at the top of their game. They're doing backflips. Like, I'm not there yet, but I aspire to do that because that's how I am.
Oh, so beginner, intermediate, advanced, but then like pro.
Yeah. I would love to be a pro.
Yeah?
Well, that's also part of why I'm here.
Do you have it in you?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is it? What's the gap? How do you close the gap?
I guess you have to just start doing comps.
Okay.
You have to do comps, and you have to get yourself out there. You got to get yourself out there, and you got to be doing the thing. You got to prove your worth. Yeah. I mean, just like with any other sports, you got to prove your worth and show that you've got what it takes.
Even in life, even prove it yourself.
Yeah. Which ties back to all of these different things, like what are you thinking? What are you doing? There's just so many things.
So what type of skiing would you compete in?
I think what I would do is it's called like free ride, big mountain. Like, that would be amazing stuff. You see, like the real pros that do that kind of stuff. Not real pros, period. I'm not a pro. I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to train for it. See, that's the whole thing. Is like, I love to train. I love to train because what are you training? You're training. You have coaches. You have people, mentors guiding you to improve. Yeah. And that's something I firmly believe in. Like, that's what are we here for?
That's what I tell people as well. Like, with many people with regarding like pain, is they almost think that these mentors will tell them something magic, and it will take it away from them. Or almost like, if I see this one mentor, he'll give me a tip, and then I'll become a pro. But really, these mentors they're meant to guide. Like, I strive to be people's like body movement, pain-free mentor, but I'm just a mentor.
Yeah.
Like, they still have to.
They have to do the work.
They have to do the work.
Right.
And I heard something recently, and it was about health, and it was like, health can't be bought; it can only be earned. And I thought about that with the body too. I'm like, that's so true. Like, a life free from pain, it can't be bought and it can't be given to you. It has to be earned.
Right.
I mean, you kind of go into this thing, and one reason I have you here too is because you're like, you already have that mindset. I think you came into this thing with that mindset already.
Yeah.
About earning.
Yeah. I think, really what it is, I consider myself an athlete. I started athletics from age 6 through college. I was a swimmer, I was a dancer, I was a gymnast. And that's all I know. This is my lifestyle that if I'm not exercising, it's either a recovery day or there's something wrong. I mean, so like it's just part of my mentality that growing up was always, I'm a scholar athlete, that school and training, that's just how life was. And then no longer in school, work and training. Like that's just how life is. It's regimented. There's regimentation, there's structure, there's organization, but then there's also freedom. Because freedom, it's probably, for me, is free from distraction, because that, we hear this quite often. People say there's only 24 hours in your day. How are you using your time?
Right.
But when you're that focused, you're not distracted by other things.
When you say freedom of distraction, you mean when you're immersed in your sport. Is that the freedom of distraction that you speak of?
Yeah.
Freedom of distraction?
So all these other, like, no, I don't have time for that. I've got training. I've got to do this. We're going to do that. Like, no, I got to get in my rest because I've got training tomorrow. I have a race coming up. And so everything is focused upon that, and then everything else, does it enhance what you're doing, or is it going to be taking away from?
Oh, right.
And so I like to tell people I am a performance coach because I'm helping people perform their best at life.
So you also train others, individuals. Do you train them at specific sports? Do you train them in an overall general physical fitness? What is that you are doing? Who are you helping? And what are you doing?
Yeah, I help people, and it's athletes. I work with athletes because athletes already have that mindset, or for people that, say, a recreational athlete that wants to become a little more serious, a little bit more focused. And so it usually comes about with nutrition first. I'm training for this particular event. I need to nourish myself, and these are the words that I use with them. I will help you to be energized and to be nourished and to be hydrated so that you can perform your best. But in order to do so, I need to understand your lifestyle. I need to understand you as a person, your character, some of those things, like what's your mindset? Someone that's already really focused, you give them the information, they're going to do the work.
Yeah, the mindset determines the behavior.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes, though, if we give people structure, the structure of follow this plan, that also can positively impact the mindset. But the people that have that mindset already, many of those people, what they need is they're missing the skills.
Yeah.
Regarding the people I work with, they have, let's say they're in pain, they're struggling. They already have hope and belief, and then they already have the mindset.
Yeah.
So those people often are missing like the technique side of it, the technique and the structure on what to do.
Yeah.
But like going back to yours with nutrition, what and nutrition, we could say nutrition, we could say hydration. What is it that you follow? Because if you guys aren't watching, Audrey is super fit. She's beautiful. She's fit. Her skin looks great. She's got a great smile. She's like definitely a walking epitome of like health.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what does that look like for you?
First of all, I think I like to lead by example. If you're going to talk about anything, it's like you got to be that living example of it, that I wasn't always this. I learned the hard way. I learned about nutrition as a gymnast growing up. I didn't know how to nourish myself. I had a coach. I went from recreational to being on the team. And it was something that I aspired to, like, I want to be a gymnast. I wanted to be in the Olympics. I mean, I didn't know that I couldn't do it. I didn't know that I didn't have the capacity. I didn't know that it was too late by that age. I just wanted to.
When was that?
That was probably like age 6. Okay. But if you're at age 6, that's too late in gymnastics.
Oh, really? It's too late?
Yeah.
When are they getting started?
Isn't that wild? They're starting at like 2 and 3.
Because I know they're peaking at like 15, 14.
Yeah. And then their body's completely destroyed. So my nutrition story fitness started at age 6, and just learning to push my body into ways and shapes that it could go. Because when you're that young, the bones and muscles haven't settled at all. So I was hyper flexible. And then in dance and gymnastics, you are praised by being hyper flexible. Yeah. So it was like, okay, can you stick your leg up here?
Sorry, a little pause. Maybe if you can look, are you looking at the camera over here, or are you glancing at these guys over here?
I don't know. I'm just looking around. Should I be glancing somewhere in particular?
If you maybe just look at me.
Okay.
Could you maybe? What's that? Well, I'm getting distracted a little bit too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little. Oh, I see. But you got the camera right here. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, got it. All right, go on. Gymnastics.
Gymnastics and dance is aesthetic sports where it's all based on appearance, where your lines and how you hold things, and it was all. So I learned that you had to look a certain way. It didn't matter how you felt. And so starting from a young, early ages, I learned to disconnect from my body cues. And so pain.
Yeah.
If you're in pain, I share that in one of the community shares, was that I learned from an early age from my dance instructor, we're doing these exercises, sticking your leg up, and then the goal is to get in a perfect straight line. That standing split just pushed my leg up, and my body was able to do it.
Pain is just part of
the, it was like,
getting there.
If you're in pain, smile. Oh. So then I just learned like,
Would they tell you that?
Yes. So this is my dance instructor saying this to us, that if you're in pain, you smile. So you just learn like, push your leg up there and you're like, ooh, and then you smile.
Oh my.
If you're in pain, smile. I'm in so much pain right now. This is fantastic. Wow. This is wonderful. And so then you just put on this mask.
It's probably less worse though than going, ah.
But I somehow learned this technique to distance feeling from my body. Then it was like, these are just feelings. That's not my body. And so I learned to distance this stuff. And and kind of the circling back, so many injuries has led me to where I am here now.
Yeah, tell me
because
about those.
I never took care of anything. It was just like, oh, I'm in pain. Like, okay, wait, hold on. I'll just shake it off.
Yeah.
So like in gymnastics, the movements it was mostly floor. So I learned how to do back handsprings, back tucks, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But in order to learn, like, you have to fall. You fall a lot.
Right.
And I mean, I smashed my neck. I don't know how many concussions. I mean, I just smashed up my body a ton. And I never did anything about it because it was just like, oh, it's fine. Just kind of shake this off. And so like every joint, every articulation, you'll hear clicking and bone shards and all that kind of stuff just from like smashing myself around literally.
Being able to perform, get the technique, getting that move.
Getting it done, getting the points, like getting that score. But then it's like, that's not longevity of life.
Right.
And, it was, again, circling back to MoveU. It's like, I want to be able to move pain-free. I want to be able to enjoy my life.
When did that happen, though, that switch? Because usually there's a switch, right? I mean, maybe in our teens and 20s, many people just tend to just, whatever, do it for the aesthetics, do it for this, and then things start to accumulate. You realize this actually is interfering with just my everyday life.
Yeah. That was actually this year. It was this past finishing off paddleboard season, moving into ski season with injuries that didn't fully heal, still injured, went into skiing and then injured again, and I'm here now.
Tell me about those.
So what I noticed, and I was sharing earlier, paddleboarding. So this extended reaching position, trying to grab more water and the resistance of the water, I was using improper technique on one side. My non-dominant side, instead of learning proper technique, I was adjusting things to try to get that length and to get that reach. And I mean, I just literally probably in the last few weeks have been working on that and noticing what was going on. I mean, so it's understanding like, yes, it stems from improper technique, but coming back to paddleboarding and then feeling that all happening again, like, hey, this is exactly where it started. And so that's that full circle with the paddleboarding, like, hey, improper technique caused that pain and injury, and then you never fixed it. You went into skiing, and so now I have the opportunity to fix that technique.
So your 2 seasons, are you at paddleboarding, skiing, alternate?
Yes.
Those are the 2 main sports.
Those are my 2 main sports now.
Oh, okay.
So that's also been part of my routine. I've always had 2 sports, so I've always had some kind of something. Gymnastics, swimming. Gymnastics, swimming. So you're asking, like, what led me? It was injuries that I'd shift to a different sport. So with swimming, I had repetitive overuse injury, shoulder tendonitis. And pain, discomfort, went to the doctor, gave the different options. You can have an operation, but you've got hypermobile joint, so there's no guarantee. You could have cortisol shots or stop swimming.
Oh, stop swimming.
So I stopped swimming.
Oh, really?
So I swam. I didn't continue competing. That's also one of those, like, it's not like I was Olympic level or anything like that. I was
Some people are like you may run.
So then,
like me with my running, I only run. I don't like to run, but I run because to get to get my cardio and get over with. So somebody's like, you have to stop running. I'm like, fine, I can at least give that one up. I've been waiting for a reason why to give that one up. So swimming
I
is
love swimming, though. I have to say, what
do you feel about swimming
water.
now? What do you feel about swimming now?
I think, when I do swim, it's pretty interesting because the times that I have gone swimming, I still always have the technique because it's so technical. So I'll go in the water and just, it's no longer about swimming like, hey, I'm doing the 100 and I need to do it within this time frame. Like, hey, I'm going to swim as fast as I can without feeling pain, without experiencing discomfort.
So you have swam recently.
Oh, yeah. I swim a little bit every year.
Okay.
But it's not like I used to swim every single thing. I swam the 50, I swam the 100, I swam the 200, I swam the IM. I used to swim the 500, the 1,000, and the 1650.
Holy shit.
So it was one of these where it's like, oh, you can do this? Okay, you do that. Like, we don't have enough people. Do that one. Oh, you're pretty good at that one. Do that one too. And be like, all right, whatever.
Wow.
So from like short distance sprints to endurance. I was an endurance athlete, though.
Oh, I see. That's more your strength is endurance.
Yeah.
I see. I gotcha.
Yeah. My strength is endurance. I love endurance. Like, it's yesterday, double workouts, and it was endurance training. And at the end, when everyone's, like, they're all lagging, whatever, like, I'm thriving. I'm like, this is great. Yeah. And it's just so interesting because that's how my body's designed for that.
Yeah.
I'm not consciously training. Like, I haven't done.
You're not like, I have to do endurance training. Your body thrives with endurance.
Yeah. Because ski season, I don't do aerobic training because I'm just skiing. That's not aerobic exercise.
Yeah. How long are your races, your paddleboard races?
They vary. So this past one, there were two. So it was a 1 mile and then it was a sprint. I don't really know what the distance was, but it's a technical. You go around buoys and all kinds of stuff.
That wouldn't be considered endurance, though, right? That's more of a
so
mid-range?
it's all relative, right? So you'd say like mid-range, whatever, but physiologically wise, a sprint is maximum 30 seconds, right? And so then it's like sprint is they classify it based on distance. Then it's the 1 mile, and then I have one in Newport in about 2 weeks, maybe less than that. That's going to be a 4 mile. And then I'm training for another one. It's Molokai to Oahu. I'm doing the virtual one where it's 16 miles and you train for it. You can do wherever, any body of water that you choose to do it in, record your time, and then you send it in, and that's your race.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's a cool way to do it because
cool.
I did that for COVID. Because in COVID, they still were able to, they're like, hey, you can still go and train. You can recreate. You're far more than 6 feet apart from other people. Like maybe there's nobody around, but you can still train and we can still stay connected as a community and have something to keep people motivated. So I did that. And it's like another opportunity to do one. The club that I train with, Performance Paddling, is doing it, and they are consciously training for it. They will be doing it out on the open water. I think how are they doing it? Somewhere near Dana Point, and then they're doing the 16 miles with this, safety boats, escort boats, in case anything happens. But yeah.
Okay, got it.
So I'm going to train and do the training with them, but I will probably be doing it in Utah.
You vary the distances.
I vary the distances.
Paddleboarding too.
Yeah.
Oh, so go back to now some of these injuries, because I'm curious to know where now there's a turning point, right? There's like you're training hard. You've got the past things, gymnastics, skiing, swimming. You've got these past mechanics and mindset.
Yeah.
And then it's led you to a place of feeling certain things. And then you enrolled in MoveU, and then you committed. And then now you're 4 months after that. And I'd really like to know about like that turning point, what really go, oh, I kind of get it. And then like that journey you've been on and how that's affected your training now and outlook in the future.
Yeah. So when I started MoveU, I came in due to pain and tired of doing the same old routine that I go to the chiropractor every week. I go for acupuncture because it builds up, pain builds up. It's like, okay, now that scale of 1 to 10, like I'm getting to a 9, I'm getting to a 10. I can't keep doing what I'm doing. I need to go back. And then it's like a reset. There's a relief. But to think I'm going to be doing that for the rest of my life, like I'm not happy with that. I don't accept this as this can't be the only solution. There's got to be something else. I mean, that's always been my thing. It's like forever for the rest of my life? Like, no, there's got to be something else. And I heard the message and it was like, you can fix your shit. Like, I can fix this shit? Like, what? Like, no, that's not a message anyone ever tells you. It's like, we're here to fix your shit. You can't take care of yourself. So you have to come and see us for the rest of your life, right? Like, there's something not right about that.
That is the
right?
overall message.
That's the overall
That's what
message.
exists in
Take some
healthcare.
shit because you got some shit, right? Or just let me take care of your shit because you can't take care of your own shit. It's like, wait a minute. You lose control, you lose power. This is a program that empowers you. You're like, wait a minute. This is my body, and you're teaching me about my own body so that I can take care of my body? Whoa. Like, that's what appealed to me. It was like, really?
Did
That's
that
what this
appeal in the messaging, or once you got in there, or just where did that appeal to you at?
I think it was really as I got involved.
Yeah.
As I got involved, because really was the thing as a challenge. So I was explaining, so I already had the membership prior to, and it was when it was on the Facebook group. I just, too much social media stuff. Like, that's too much social. I have to get on Facebook, then I have to this, like, no, that's too much.
I know.
And so the shift was the next year, like, to see, like, I've had a membership for 1 year and I only did a few little things. I did some stuff, but it was inconsistent. I didn't feel any difference, but then it was the challenge. I was explaining, like, if someone challenges me, if someone says, like, wait, this is a 30-day challenge, like, oh, a 30-day challenge? All right, well then, like, that's what I needed. I needed someone to tell me that, because I mean, I guess I didn't hear it, or it wasn't conveyed to me.
It wasn't clear until we officially launched it in October. Like, whenever the app dropped, like, we put significant time into the MoveU 30.
Okay.
Like, that's when it was officially released.
So then that makes sense, because to me, I was like, how did I not hear this before? Then all of a sudden, like, because I heard it loud and clear, I was like, oh, I got to do this for 30 days. Well, like, let's do this. I'm doing this. And then especially too, I'm a person of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Because there's so many people that flake. I've got flaky friends. I love my friends. People flake. But I don't want to be known as someone that flakes. If I give my word is true. Like, it's very important to me. So as soon as you put it as, it was like, I think it was in one of the announcements that it was like, claim it to the world and say it out there. And it was like, if you say it out loud, your words are powerful.
That's
like,
right.
if you say you're going to do this, you have to do this. So, I mean, I did think about, like, if I say I'm going to do this, that means I must do this.
And that was an intention. I did that in 2015 when I started MoveU, or 2014. I didn't even mean to do it, but I made an announcement. My Facebook community said, I'm doing something big.
Yeah.
I'm going to be gone for a while, everybody. And everyone, it was crazy. People took that really seriously. And I like, people still mention that today. But then I look back and I remember going, I had a couple times when I was building MoveU and I was just like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I'm like, I told everyone I was going to. Like, I'm going to let them down if I don't do what I said.
Yeah.
And that's why I really encourage people. It's uncomfortable to put that out there.
Right.
But it gives you a new level of obligation.
Absolutely. It holds you accountable.
Yeah.
Because these people are going to say, like, hey, you said this big thing. Like, what's going on?
Where are you?
Where are you? And if you don't do it, then you're like, you let them down. But even more is you let yourself down.
You do. And you add up enough of those, you lose self-esteem too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, I'm happy that resonated with you.
It resonated with me so much, because then it was like, oh, 30 days? Like, I can do 30 days. And you know what's so interesting? Because once you do it, it's easy. And especially too, if you say, because in the beginning, first I was following the program and I would do this, and I think that's where some people get a little confused, is that you do say one program or you do 1 week, and then there's the second week and there's the third week. Like, I'm supposed to do all of these? Now this is becoming like an hour-long thing. And so I was doing every single thing, and I just made time for it. Like, I'm just doing this. I can't go. I'm one of these. If I commit to it, I'm going to do it. So it was like, you are not allowed to go to sleep until you finish, like, because you said you're going to do this. So then it'd be like, I didn't do my exercise. Like, you can't not, like, you must do your exercises. So like, okay, 15, like, I can do my exercises.
What would you do? How much a day would you do?
Well, in the beginning, I was following the videos.
So you basically, when I said week 1, you did week 1. When I said week 2, you did week 1 and week 2.
Yeah.
And when I said week 3, you did 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it.
So that's what I was doing, because I'm like, okay, this is what I got to do. But then once I started learning, and then especially when the follow-alongs explaining, like, oh, there's other ways you can do this, and you don't have to do it exactly in this order. Right. So, I mean, so where I'm now, because now I'm like 5+ months. Yeah. And so what I do is based on, I have my routine. There are multiple routines. So I play around with ones like, hey, if I start off laying down, what are all the things I can do laying down? Because of the classes that I teach. I also teach fitness classes, group exercise. So if I don't want to stand up and sit down, I want to smoothly move from one to the other.
True.
So if I'm on the floor, like, oh, I'm already here. Okay, I can do my glute bridges. I can do this. I can move through the body. Now I'm going to flip on the other side. What movements can I do?
Do you have this written down?
I do it automatically, but I could write it down.
Okay. I think the members would love
that. And I have a plan where I was going to film them like, oh, let me just show this and this. Because I like things to flow smoothly.
I'm not very good at the I'm not very good at the flow.
But you know what? It's different personalities. Like I love to flow, but that's also when I teach fitness classes, I want my music to flow. It's got to go with this, and the routine has got to go from here. It's like water.
It makes it so helpful. It's like I'm rough on the edges with it. Like I go to some yoga classes, the way they time it, and transition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So I have this other routine that I've created since I've been here that I stand up like, hey, I'm standing up, I'm getting ready because I have morning practices twice a week, and those are at 6:30 in the morning, but I get up like at 5 because I need to get my board. I got to get over there and do the whole kind of thing. So I start in standing, and in paddleboarding, it's your feet. So I start with my feet, and then I move up my body. So I do different ones. I'll start feet, and then I move up, or I do my head, and then I move down, just kind of depending. But I play around with the different things, like my toes, the inversion, eversion. I do, and I just move up the chain, and then I move up and down. And time-wise, minimum 15 minutes.
Okay.
But what I find is I'll have music playing, and I know like, oh, those are 6 songs. That was already more than 15 minutes.
Yes.
But really now, especially because I'm here specifically training, I'm in training. So I'm in athlete mode. So I wake up in the morning. How is my body feeling? Based on how I feel, oh, I need this. Oh, my shoulder is doing a little something. I really need to be doing these exercises. Oh, if I'm feeling good, great. I'm going to do all kinds of things. Or especially after a hard training session, throw my hip off again. I need to reset my hips. Okay, let's work on that. I got to do this. And so now there's that fluidity because I have, if you want to say, tools in the toolbox.
Sure.
So I can pick and choose. My body needs this right now.
Right.
Oh, this would feel really good right now. So I have the experience. I know what movements really help my body, and I have my preferences. So I do them. It's like, I love doing that one. Okay, let's do that one. And so, yeah.
So then you've gone now. Okay, so you've got your routine. Now, what is the mental change? Maybe we could say the change of awareness, and then how that's maybe led to technique changes and improvements.
Yes.
And
That's
then
a
how
big
you
one.
felt over the last few months.
The awareness has continued to change. So raised awareness of overall body posture and alignment. So prior to the program, already aware, but fine details. And there's something that's really cool I was thinking about is I feel like every session I really learn from the lives. I learn from all of them, but I feel the lives, they're these little phrase that I hear from people, like these nuggets. Like I get this little nugget that I get out of it, like, ooh, that was good. And I get this something where like, that changes. And I feel like that's what you mean. Like these little nuggets are these little switches where it's like, takes me to another level so that I go back to these exercises again and they're not the same anymore. Like there's a greater appreciation. There's more awareness, connection of this movement, what it's doing in my body, and subtle. I think that's one of the words. It's like these shifts in awareness have been very subtle yet profound.
And that's why I do have people taking their photos, and you take them religiously.
Yeah.
But I do also know it's not like it's really easy if someone weighs 400 pounds and they lose 200. It's easy to see, right?
Yeah.
But the difference it makes, which is invisible to the eye, is a pelvic tilt of 12 degrees and what happens when it goes down 2.
Right.
Because you're dealing with joints that are compressed at 12 and then not compressed at 10.
Exactly.
So not all of these are visible by the eye. And that's where I still, the photos are also part of the accountability tool. Some people are you'll see scoliosis improve, but it doesn't take a visible, just like me, I'm a golfer as well. I have a love-hate with golf. I currently hate golf, so I don't play.
I think that's everyone who plays golf.
Oh my goodness, what is it? Like with freediving, every day is a good day out there for me. No fish, I don't care. Even if my ears aren't clearing, no. Golf though, it can ruin my day. I don't know what it is. I've even seen my buddy. He's the closest thing to a Buddhist monk I've ever seen. And I've watched him swear and throw a club at a course. I'm like, dude, I've never seen you even come close to this.
Golf brings out the worst in people.
Oh, that's good. Golf brings out the worst in people.
But golf is so hyper technical, and it's so mental, and it's so
And
mental.
the person I was saying the technical is like even changing an angle of a couple degrees in a swing can change the whole trajectory of the ball. And
That's why
the
it's
same
so
with the body.
complicated.
It is complicated.
That's why it's so complicated. But that slight change in trajectory of movement, those are the things that each milestone, if you will. So each month, each 30 days, that there's a little shift in trajectory is what this program is really helping me with to learn more. I mean, I feel that I've learned more about my body and learned about what is going on, because before it's just like, I'm in pain. Like, one of the first things you're like, okay, you can't say that anymore. Now you need to start to differentiate what is it that you're experiencing. And then you gave us these tools, like explain, describe it. Is this a radiating pain? Is it a stabbing pain? Is it this? And I was like, oh, and then it was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this. So now that I can differentiate also, okay, that's one of the things. And one of the lives that you did, again, was like you said, that's the subtleties of the angles. So I was explaining that in gymnastics, where you're going for extreme, right? You're going for the extreme hyper flexion, where you're going to, beyond whatever. The goal there is to go beyond whatever is, it's abnormal, it's unnatural, it's not anatomically correct, but you learn to put your body into these shapes. And so I'm used to anterior pelvic tilt to the extreme. And then after watching that and seeing like, really? Those are the angles, such small little changes. And then so some of these movements, some of these changes are, like you said, imperceptible to your eyes. But then it's like, oh, all I need to do that and I can feel good. Like,
so what changed after that one? Because you mentioned that to me earlier.
Yeah.
If I were to teach, if I were to go on the air and they go, and I've done this before actually, and you only have 2 minutes and you got to teach the world one thing. I teach pelvic tilt. I think it's the one, the main thing.
Yeah.
Because the pelvic tilt is I've seen it to be the predictor of what's all the way up to the head,
Right.
and all the way down to the feet.
Yeah.
These numbers are predict. So you change this number here, and some people focus specifically. Some professions like this chiropractic, NUCA, it only focuses on your C1 of your neck. Some people go only I don't want, in a way that'd be for the pelvis, just change this angle. Because then there's a theory, and it's like, hey, if I change the angle here, everything above it and below it will adjust over time. I tend to start there, but to help speed up the process above and below, 'cause I'm a little impatient. Keep going, fix it all. But this pelvic angle, right? Go into a little more detail about what changed for you after that one.
Well, one, it's helping to reinforce or change my thinking that it doesn't have to be extreme change. Extreme change. Because in the beginning, when I started doing the videos, say in your all fours or in a tabletop, when you would do the lifting, it was sternum and sacrum, and then I would double extension. So I'd always like to full maximum, and then I go this and like, and then after that one learning, that one
buffers
live.
Me, by the way, because I tend to go a little extreme to show people.
No, but it's a good, for me, it was a really good learning, explaining that like, you don't need to go to extreme. You don't need to feel that you're going to maximum to change yourself, to help yourself, to improve yourself. Then it was like, easy, which is maybe as an athlete, or me as the way that I learned as an athlete, there's never anything easy. You go to like, you got to like put every single thing, like, oh, I'm going to move my hips
1% a day,
right?
Grind
So,
it.
yeah. And so there's like, oh, I could take it easy, just light movement. Like, wow, that feels great. And so it was just these little subtle things where now sometimes I'm playing around with that pelvic tilt, but how small, like, can I move my tailbone? Just the tailbone. Like, can I just, and it's like so tiny.
Yeah, you can move the tailbone even 1/2 of a degree. Because when you're like, and I mentioned again, when we're dealing with pressure on joints and discs,
Right.
I mean, you've got an angle. Some joints of the low back, like your low back, the vertebra with rotation only have, I think, 4 degrees of rotation. 4. So if you rotate, if you're already twisted 4 degrees, if you rotate back 4 degrees, which is minuscule, you're now aligned. 4.
Right. And so those numbers are so tiny, right? They said that's minuscule, because to me, again, rotation, I'm going like this, trying to like every single thing. So I just cracked myself. But
me too.
But so that's what I'm used to doing. Like, and then it's just helping me to look back and see things in the past that, oh, in the past I didn't know. So I'd hurt myself even more. So injuries from top to bottom, shoulders, especially shoulders, neck. I'm smacking my head on the ground so many times. But if it started hurting, then I'd like crank it out and I'd do these things and I'd stretch beyond all these things. Like, that's not helping you at all. Like, you're already inflamed and sore. Like, take it easy. And just this whole, it's really interesting too, because I also teach yoga, and these are things that I teach everyone else. Like, listen to your body, be gentle, be soft, find some ease. I'm like, this is what you teach people all the time, and you're not even doing this yourself. Like,
I tend to do that myself. I know what you mean, but like that now, I'm sure would help you become a better teacher, because now you can give examples about what that means.
Yeah.
So now that you've made this adjustment, right? Let's just say your pelvic tilt, for example. How do you now apply that? Because what I try to tell people is like many people have this mindset where, hey, when I go to the gym and do my workout, that's good. I don't have to do anything after because I did the work.
Right.
But really, I'm a very firm believer that we're training our body in the gym for life.
Exactly.
So the pelvic angle, you're training it for. So like regarding your paddleboarding, what does that change for your paddleboarding?
Yeah. Well, I want to say even before that. So when that eureka moment hit for me, then I started noticing that hip hinge and squat is not just in the gym. It's not just in the paddleboard. It was like, how many zillions of times I was doing that each day. I'm like, every time I picked something off of the ground, every time it was like, just in one moment, it's like, I just did it 20 times.
Right.
It's like, holy
The
crap.
math I did about 1 million times a year.
You're right.
We hip hinge.
Exactly. And so in that one, I think that was the same one you were explaining, like, hey, if you're reaching for something that's within this range, this would be the movement that you do. Oh, now that it's on the floor, maybe you might have to come down to a knee. So then I was noticing like, oh. And so
I'm so happy because you remember, I work with clients one-on-one, and I do that. That's I can see the instant. But sometimes when I talk in a video, I see the video might get viewed 1 million times or in the program, whatever. But just by you telling me that you're remembering those things, I really appreciate that. That it's being absorbed. Because remember, I don't have any instant feedback.
Right.
I'm talking to a camera.
Yeah. Well, that's why I write these
Especially
little
when I
things.
say jokes to the camera. There's like, I don't hear any of this little laughing back. I go, oh shit, what happened?
That's the hard part. But it's maybe that's also too to tell people like, hey, if you're feeling something, communicate. Like, this is a means of communication. It's not just a one way. But that to me was really where I just started. I mean, I'm picking up grocery bags. I'm doing this. Like, I'm doing these movements every day. I don't need to wait till I go to the gym to work on it, because that's one tiny fraction of the movements that I'm going through in my daily life.
Right.
And so I gave another example of say I'm training paddleboard racing, whatever. I'm training for 1 hour of time. We track our stroke rate. And so we can look at whatever. Say that if I had 70 repetitions over the course of 1 hour, right? 70 times 6, 4,200 repetitions in that 1 hour. That's just 1 hour of my day.
Right.
And so those are the things where it's like what I noticed, and when that eureka moment, because it really was, that one was a big eureka moment for me. That's because I was doing that hip hinge and squat, and I was picking up grocery bags. Then I was like, this is what I do in paddleboarding. And so I was like, every time that I'm doing this, I'm preparing myself. I am perfecting my practice. So I just wrote a class about that, and it's like perfecting practice. So you need to practice perfectly. It's not just any old practice. Practice the movements correctly so that they will become correct movements always. Practice
the movements perfectly in the training, but also practice those movements perfectly throughout the day.
Yes.
And it makes it fun. Do you agree that it's fun to practice those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are you barefoot now? Do you have like Vivos?
I'm pretty much barefoot all the time.
You are, okay.
Pretty much barefoot all the time.
Especially paddleboarding. It's so challenging the feet. When I haven't paddleboarded in a few months or something, I get on my feet the next day. I'm like, holy shit, these things work.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's really super interesting. I think everyone should paddleboard. If you can, because balance and stabilization training, because that's something that you lose as we age. And you don't realize that you're doing it because you're outside and people are looking around. Oh, it's beautiful out here. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. And you're doing all these things.
Well, we say that, but whenever I hear paddleboard, I look at 99% of paddleboarders. They stand up vertically.
Right.
And they just pull their whole arm back.
Right.
When paddleboarding truly is, it's as big of a hip hinge as you could take to throw that paddle out as far in front of you. So as the hips go back, the arm extends in front of you. Now that's your anchor point to drive forward with your hips.
Yeah.
So everyone should paddleboard as close to proper as possible.
They should.
But it is, even if you don't though, just your balance work on your feet, your standing, your nature.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, okay. I mean, paddleboard to me is one of the best sports. And you're really not, it's not like you have an additional weight coming down on top of you. You're not taking your body through extreme ranges of motion on paddleboarding.
Yeah.
You should be doing it both sides. People find that one side's a lot easier. I know me. My other side's a little weaker, but overall it's a balanced workout.
Yeah.
And it's done standing.
It's done standing.
Which is nice. But no, I would love to paddleboard with you sometime, actually.
That's what I was thinking.
I would love to paddleboard
Let's plan it out
with you.
Should we plan the whole thing? We're going to go to La Jolla and we'll see those shark and do the whole business?
Yes.
That would be so cool.
I'd love to paddleboard with you. I want to commit to
I want to do the free diving.
Oh, really?
I don't know if I could do 100 feet, but I could work on it.
Would you really want to do that?
Absolutely.
So when you come back, I do a group session on Sundays, 8 a.m. till noon.
Oh, cool.
Down in La Jolla.
Yeah?
It's a great group. Sometimes there's 12 people. And we all swim out, and there's a line, and we practice pulling down it. You're an athlete. You'll just love it.
Well, I was a swimmer growing up. I love the water. I absolutely love the water. And, I find it – so there is – I'm not going to say the name, but there are people that do, like the dive training where they go in the pool and they hold the weights or whatever, and it's like – this novel thing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? As kids, we did that all the time. Like, why is it now this big, I'm going to go and do this underwater.
Oh, the underwater workouts.
The breath training.
Right,
I'm like, I should do my own thing. Like, we did, as kids, we would do, did you do that? In our pool, we would sit in the pool, and whoever could stay at the bottom of the pool the longest, you'd just sit there.
Yep. I did too.
And you just it was no big deal. You blow out all your air, and you just sit there and doo-doo-doo. You make faces at each other, and you just wait until they're like, I'm going to wait here all day long until you go to the top. And you just wait, and maybe a little bubble. Doop.
What's interesting about free diving is that we have these so what occurs is we have an urge to breathe. So for those of you guys that don't know, free diving is where you take a breath from the surface, and then you just, whatever air is in your lungs, you kick down as far as you can, and then you come up. So there's no oxygen being breathed down there for everyone. So what happens, though, is once you go down there, if you stay down long enough, you'll feel an urge to breathe. The first thing that happens is your diaphragm will contract. Most people just panic then. They're God, panic. Free divers learn to feel that, but to let it pass. And the second one is the throat. The throat, again, learning to feel it but pass. Because what happens when both of those pass, your spleen releases 15% more oxygen in your bloodstream. So if you allow those to pass, your spleen will release it, and then you feel calm again. And now you've got another 15-20% of the time in the water before you pass out. So that's free diving. Is really part of it is the mindset to feel the sensations to breathe. And it's not easy. It's like any sport. It's not easy. But the art is to feel the sensations to breathe and not to react to those.
Yeah.
But we'll get into free diving a little later time. What I'd like to know a little bit more about your body is, so specifically I know our audience and our members want to know where you felt pain, what you felt, maybe what it was, what you've been told it was, and then how that's changed over the last few months. Maybe specific areas for them, what it's been diagnosed with, maybe things that you found really helpful, like you talk about pelvic tilts, and kind of how that process has gone for you.
Lots of injuries. Lots of injuries that have not been taken care of. And then I was trying to find, when I was writing up the 90-day, because I have x-rays of my neck. So there's I was trying to find the report of it because there's somewhere it was like possible hairline fracture or something. And I saw that, I don't know. I'm one of these. I'm like, whatever. I'm going to figure something out. I'm not going to, I don't know. Cause someone was kind of freaked out. I'm like, I'm still doing my thing. I'm not going to not do my thing.
And for the most part, that is the best mindset with these injuries, because many doctors, they're only telling you these possible negative outcomes to protect their own license.
Right.
So you wouldn't come back and say something. It's almost like, hey, I'm going to go drive to the beach. Be careful out there. There's drunk drivers on the road. There's potholes. There you can get an accident. You can fall asleep at the wheel. There could be a storm. There could be all of this stuff. And most people just go, oh, shit, I might as well not drive.
Right.
Meanwhile, most of those things are just such a small minority.
I'm glad that you said that, because most people, there's so much authority in what the doctor says. And they're like, oh, crap, I better not do this. So that's always been mine. So neck pain was really, so I started with a lot of neck pain. I think it was around 2013 where it was like, that's when I started going to the chiropractor regularly, because I was in so much pain. Like, I am in so much pain. Like, this sucks. I mean, I'm used to pain, which is not necessarily a good thing. It's just being injured so often in sports that you just kind of get used to it.
Sure.
And in one of the, and in the community wrote about that. It's like, you suck it up. You get used to pain. But then after a while, you're like, I'm in pain all the time. This can't be good. This can't be good. So started with the neck. I've had multiple, I think, because of the neck, I've also had collarbone, shoulders, stuff. This shoulder would pop out of the socket. I don't exactly know why.
She's pointing at her left.
Yeah, the left shoulder would pop out of the socket. Last year, I smashed my ribs in a ski accident. Like, that one was a bad one. That one was a bad accident. Like, that was probably one of the worst accidents that I've had, where the next day I went to the chiropractor because it was on a Sunday. And he was like, dude, your ribs are totally out. And I was like, I know. That's why I'm here. But he was like, smashed this whole entire side. That's a recent one. But lower back and hips have also been another, I think that's from gymnastics. Again, the forcing splits and straddles. So for those of you that are not familiar, a split this way, one leg in front, one leg in back. The goal is to be in a perfect line. If you could get into a perfect line, then the goal is to put books underneath your legs so that your bottom, so that was something that I aspired to as a child. That I don't know if I was naturally able to do that or not, but I worked at it like mad. And then also straddle is when your legs are out this way.
Oh, that's good to know. I didn't know that.
I would do those every single day.
I always thought splits was wide. It wasn't. No, it's a straddle.
Split, straddle. So I would do them every single day as a kid. I like to tell people the story because like, you could do a straddle. I'm like, people don't ever see the work that people do to get to these different things. So I'd explain, like, I would stretch every day at least an hour a day. Not in a fitness class where you do at the end, you're like a 5-minute stretch. Right. I would stretch at least an hour a day. That didn't include going to gymnastics practice and stretching. Like homework, when you do homework after school, I would lay on the floor in a split against the wall and I'd do my homework. I'd be laying there on the floor. I'd read books in splits. I mean, like, that's what I would do because that's what I wanted to do. It's like, I'm going to get this split. And, I would win competition based on my flexibility. So that was one of my strengths. It was like, yeah, I'm going to just keep working on this. And it's so interesting.
You got positive reinforcement.
Positive reinforcement for it. And so I continued to do it. And it was like, I don't know if I was doing it. No one ever said there was anything wrong with me doing this. So I just kept doing that. And interesting in sport is that there's always going to be someone that's better than you. It's just how it is. That's just how it is. It was really interesting. I can remember back I went to a gymnastics camp and it was a competition. I mean, it was a friendly competition, but still it was a competition of, it was like you pick these groups and who's going to represent, I don't know, maybe it was like cabins competing against each other and like who had the most flexible something. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. This one girl, I remember she was like hyper flexible where,
because you have some even genetical issues, like Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Mm-hmm. You're just hyper mobile. Your joints are hyper mobile.
They can move every single thing.
And many people think that, what I hear much of is many people think the grass is greener. They'll go, I'm in pain. How do I get more flexible? Almost they're thinking they're in pain because they're not flexible enough. And then people are flexible. I'm in pain. How do I get stronger?
Yeah.
Almost like the grass is usually greener if I get more of one thing. But there's issues that come with both.
Right.
Being too much. And how do you think the hip issue, the flexibility, related with your low back? And one reason why you enrolled.
Well, yeah, I think it's because of something to do maybe this hip is hypermobile. So my shoulders are hypermobile. Shoulders are hypermobile. Perhaps this hip is also hypermobile, so it can move into all of these positions that are not in alignment. And so because of that, well, I'm not really sure. I'm not the expert. You are. But the anterior pelvic tilt, and then there's a little bit of rotation. The tendency for this right hip is to shorten. So then there's a
Hike up on you, almost shorten, like the right hip tilt up.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's what happens in my body.
Got it. So one of your things that you learned was, and I'm always trying to relate because most of the people listening here, they're going to be like newbies or not even members. So it's like helping them understand simple terms that Audrey is saying that she found that she was anterior and then her right hip was tilted up. So that would be like an unlevel hips.
Yes.
So the hips were unlevel and they were too much tilt. That's 2 out of 4. The hips only do 4 things. So 2 out of 4 of those weren't in alignment.
Yeah.
And so now over the last, let's say 4 months, in terms of that alignment, like how would you say that has changed? Like your view of pain before, how it was, and then now that you've understand this tilting, how how the mindset, how the viewpoint, how your perception of that pain, how has it changed based on, and also how's that changed and how have your movements changed since the discovery of that?
Yeah. The perception has changed that before pain, discomfort, frustration, disappointment, now when I have pain is ow, discomfort, information. My body is talking to me. I am listening to my body. I can do something. What's happening here? So, I lay down. Typically what I do is I lay down on the bed or I lay down on the floor and I touch my hips and are they in alignment? I bring my hands across and then I can feel like, oh, that hip is up. Sometimes you feel like I'm totally out of alignment. And so now I do some of the exercises and I can bring my hips back into alignment. I take a little bit of time. I do some of the stretching exercises. I foam roll and I work on it. Instead, now it's like my body is saying, you need to take care of me. You did something. You did it. I mean, say yesterday, I did double workouts and then my hip was feeling uncomfortable. It's like, I'm getting a little bit of radiating pain. It's going down my leg. Information, what's going on here? Oh, okay, I paddled hard. Lay down. Let's do some breathing. Okay, hips are out of alignment. You know what to do. Okay,
Right.
Let's do that exercise. That one helps. Do it a few times. Use my breath, and then I lay there and reassess. Okay, I could do a little bit more, and then it brings it back. And that's something that's been a realization maybe like in the last 3 weeks. So the last 3 weeks over the course of 5 months.
Oh, this is a newer.
This is just the realization of being able to like, wow, I can move my hips around.
I see.
I mean, I always knew that I could move my hips around, but prior to, I always thought like the chiropractor has to adjust my hips. My hips are off.
Out of alignment, someone put it in alignment.
Yeah. And versus now it's like, what I learned is like this hard, like they do the bicycle and flip like this and like this. And
Side
I'm always
posture.
like, and like, ugh. And it's always, there's some discomfort in that. It's always a little bit of fear. My body is like contracts and they always say like, relax. Like,
Sure.
okay, relax, do
Wiggle
that.
your toes,
Yeah.
do something.
Distract yourself from what's actually happening versus just laying there and like, oh, it's a simple movement. The movement is really simple. I'm working on bringing my hip towards my rib cage towards my hip. I'm contracting my abdominal muscles in that area, which helps to adjust the other side. It's simple and it's easy. I mean, I think that's also part of what it is for me. It's like, I can't believe that it's easy like this. And that's where, again, because all my life, it's always been hard. It was drilled into me, like, you got to do, like, it's got to be hard. You got to do maximal. Like, you give everything you can. Like, oh, it just moved a little bit. What?
Wow.
And so, like, still, I mean, like I said, it was yesterday doing that. I'm like, oh, my hip feels better. And then I'm taking today as a recovery day. Like, hey,
Got
I'm
it.
not going to train. It's gorgeous out. I would love to get outside. Well, you don't have to paddle. You could do something else.
I see.
You could do something else. I did my exercises.
Sure. So would you say that now, would you say that you're training, right? You've trained, obviously, ski, paddleboarding. You've done it pretty relentlessly, right? And you've been pushing through pain.
Yeah.
And now that you say, what would you say your future outlook is on your body's ability, and maybe even the future of maybe even what would you say your viewpoint is now on the future of your body and its ability versus how you may have seen your future and your body's ability 6 months ago?
Yeah.
How do those two look side by side?
They're different body, different ability, different goals and dreams. So the goals and dreams that I had as a child are still there because now I really can do anything because I have learned how to take care of myself. And I also feel that there's more to learn, that there's so much more for me to learn, that I've come this far. Let's see how far I can go. I can heal myself. Like, that's something that people are not taught. That's a whole new concept. That's kind of spiritual woo. Like, oh, you can heal yourself? Oh, I can heal myself. Do some deep breathing. Do some little exercises. People don't even accept that. But it's proven. Like, this happens. I'm not the only person. It's like, we're learning more about your body. This other body, full of pain, moving towards possible decline due to pain, due to injuries, which is the normal story of what happens to people because they keep doing the same thing. It ties into these patterns that if you keep doing the same thing, it's not going to get better. How do you expect it to get better if you keep doing the same thing? That's the whole, like, what's the definition of insanity? Sure. Is doing the same thing and expecting change. Versus I'm learning and I'm continuing to learn more about my body. And there's so much more to learn. I mean, that's why I truly love this program. And this really is a community, is that to educate oneself. I find also part of the awareness and the anatomy is deeper connection with my own body. That if we had anatomy taught the way that you have anatomy, of drawing the pictures and seeing it live on a person instead of like seeing it on a one page, whatever, and you just have to memorize these things, like, doesn't mean there's no connection.
There's no connection.
No connection whatsoever.
That's just a page in a book.
Exactly. Versus, oh, I'm doing this movement. Oh, this muscle is working, or this muscle is hindered by some kind of something. And then it's like, what's happening there? And then when I can feel the change, like, I didn't have a connection with that particular muscle, or I didn't have that connection with that type of movement before. And so to me, when you ask that question of where the future is, it's like, I don't know what I'm fully capable of. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I mean, because part of who I am is like, I dream, have these big, possibly unrealistic expectations, but it's one of those, like, shoot for the moon, and, you know, if you miss it, you'll hit the stars or whatever, some kind of something like that, right? So to me, it's like, I'm going for it. Like, I see myself, when they do the visualization, like, I see myself on podium. Because I have friends that are professional athletes and semi-pro or at that level, and, like, I want to be there with them. I want to be there challenging. Like, yesterday we had a pro from Peru who was training with us, who's won silver in the Pan American Games, whatever. There was one moment where I was drafting off of him, and I was like, there were little glimpses where it's like, where my potential is there. Like, when I'm in proper alignment and when I'm doing it right, I know I can do more. That's why I'm here. Like, that's why I'm doing this program, because I know I can do more. A lot of these things, when we go back to the mindset, it's our limitations are here. They're not in here. And so when we learn, then that goes back to the MoveU mindset. It's like, fix your shit, and then you could do, like, what do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
It's wide open.
Exactly.
Wide open play. There's nothing in front of you except yourself.
Exactly. And so that's when you say that, like, man.
Well, you made my whole day with that.
Well, just the whole fact, like, this is amazing. Like, this is really super amazing, and this is not new for you, but this is new of taking these concepts that you have discovered for yourself and sharing this with others to help others. Like, that's tremendous. Like, creating this valuable, like, this is valuable, invaluable. Like, whatever money you put on it, it's like, this comes back to the whole thing. Like, is your health important to you? Like, you can change your health. Like, do this. Like, do this. Just do this. Just do it. Do it for 30 days. Just freaking do this.
This is my never-ending standing on top of a mountain with a damn megaphone, screaming the message, and trying however many ways.
But people are slowly, and I mean, that's the whole thing. Is like when people are ready, because to me, whenever it was, and I don't know how, but there was some kind of something. I think it was probably the different videos of something where I was like, what is this? Just laughing. Then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's some information here. Oh, wait a minute. There's some kind of like, what a cool way to educate people, because the old way of education, it only works for some people.
It's boring.
It's boring. It's really boring. But it was like, these videos are great. Like, the videos are great of like you said, like, I want to learn more about my body. Like, again, if I had anatomy in school that was exciting and engaging, I would know so much more versus like, I memorized it. I passed every single thing. I didn't learn, like, I don't know it as a deep wisdom in my body. I have to refer back, like, wait, let me look back.
Right, a deep wisdom in your body. Right. It's off of a root of memorization and mnemonics and other ways to pass the test. And that's where even much of school today is taught, even through chiropractic, physical therapy, is you're still doing the root memorization. You're not putting your work, you're not learning by putting the work into yourself.
Yeah.
You're learning from the book and from this. And that's where even many people are teaching from out of the book that they learned. And that's why I feel like you're right now, you're smarter with yourself than any doctor of physical therapy will ever be with you, because because Confucius, know thyself.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just so happy that you really feel that. You're really embracing it and really owning it. And
I love it.
It makes it all worth it to me.
Thank you for saying that.
This is my driving force, is to feel this. So I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
Oh my
I appreciate you and the whole entire team that's behind you to get this out there. And just like, when you feel this change, when you can feel good, you want other people to do it too, right? You're like, man, I freaking feel great. Like,
what do you see now when you walk in the airport or walk around? What do you see with people and their movement?
I see all kinds of stuff. I mean, before I did, but now I'm like, you should be taking care of your shit, dude.
Yeah. So who should do like who's MoveU, like in terms of like the program and this, like who's it best for?
It's best for everyone, but it's best for, I mean, because it really goes into readiness for change, right? Who's ready for change? Where people that are willing to keep doing the same old thing and live with discomfort and pain, that's not for them. It's for people that want to make change, that are going to put in the time and are ready to take care of themselves. So I just taught a small group training class, and it was Take Care of You, where you're learning to take care of yourself, like put in the time to take better care of yourself. So you learn body, mind, spirits, like what are the things that I can do to take better care of myself, to make the time to prioritize yourself and your health. And so, because it isn't a quick fix. If someone's looking for a quick fix, it's not for them.
No.
It's
the
like,
best stretch or exercise is what many people, that's the number. What's the best stretch?
Right.
What would you say? What's the best exercise for back pain?
I know, that's when people always say that kind
What
of
would you say to that? Hey, what's the best exercise for back pain? What's the best?
Let's start off with, like, you could do a little cat and cow. That helps to relieve things, but it's not the best. Like, there's no one best anything. That's the same thing when people say, like,
the best one is every movement done correctly.
Yes. Or just moving, period. Because I just talked with a friend, and decline. I mean, I think that's the other thing, too, is that mentality that as we age, then they're doing less. Like, no, you got to keep moving. That's right. You got to freaking keep moving.
You got to fight. You got to keep those walls from closing in. And you got to hold them out here. Mm-hmm. You can't let these things push you in.
Yeah.
Your whole possibility. You let one thing slide in. I'm not going to deadlift anymore. You just allowed one thing to stop. That's like smoking one cigarette. What's next?
Yeah.
Can't swim anymore? Okay. Mm-hmm. No way.
Yeah.
There's too much to explore in this world.
There is.
There's too many adventures. There's too many goals to hit. There's so much possibility out there.
Exactly.
Oh my God. And it's just like, and now with this information, coming in and people being able to access knowledge and it's just like, this is the only life we have in this body right here. It's just like, I see myself being active at 85,
Absolutely.
90 years old.
Well, you know what's really cool about the paddleboard community is that they're moving. And so You see 70-year-olds, you see 80-year-olds that are freaking fast.
Whoa.
And so that's the thing. Also with skiing, 85-year-olds that are out there, they are tearing it up on the mountain. Like, it is so cool to me because I see that and I aspire, like, man, I hope when I'm 80 or I hope to be as good as that.
That's
when
right.
I'm 80 years old.
Right.
I want to be freaking tearing it up and be like, take off my gear like, she's like old. And be like, that's right, I am, sucker. You know, I'm in good shape, whatever. It's like, because if you take care of yourself, and I love how people, the body temple, like, this is your temple. It's sacred. Like, take care of it. You only have one body, right? Same thing. We say you only have this one life. You only have this one body.
Right.
We are teaching people how to take better care of themselves.
Well,
I mean,
I appreciate you spreading the word and just leading by example. You're going to help so many people. You've been really it's just been wonderful. You've always I could just feel your energy and positivity and light. I could feel it from the beginning, and you really help me enjoy what I do. You make it worth it for me.
Thank you.
And so do other members in the community. Our Instagram audience, not so much, but joking. They do too. But I really appreciate I'm first of all, I really want to paddleboard with you too. I'm going to try to make that happen.
I would love it.
I would love that too. So we're going to wrap this up. Do you have any final words to say to me or to members or the audience or anything else you'd like to add?
I think really is take this time to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, this is loving yourself. Like, come on, like,
right.
Take care of yourself, love your body, give it what it needs. And this is what it needs. I think everybody would benefit from MoveU because we don't learn how to move. We don't learn how to move properly and correctly. I'll probably stop because we could just keep talking on and on and on. But I mean, like.
Well, you really put a nice, really, you know, I'm a little more rough on the edges with my messaging. And so take care of yourself and love yourself are beautiful departing words for this episode. So thank you so much for being here. And let's do some training right now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.